NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. Derrick Henry, one of the best running backs in the National Football League, if not the very best running back in the NFL, could be moved by the Tennessee Titans before the trade deadline, which is coming up on October 31st. On today's show, we'll tell you what's going on with this situation, why he could be traded, some of the top teams that we expect to be interested in Derrick Henry coming up next. Before we do that, big week in the National Football League. You want your team to win? Don't jinx it. Hit the like button on today's video to send some good vibes for your favorite team, to make sure to do your part, because let's face it, we don't want your team to lose because you didn't like today's video. So send some good vibes their direction. Hit the like button. We'll get started with today's show. Derrick Henry, he has had an incredible career, the best resume of any running back in the National Football League right now. The NFL's Offensive Player of the Year in 2020, a three-time Pro Bowler in 2019, 2020, and 2022. And also in 2019 and 2020, he was the NFL's rushing yards and rushing touchdowns leader. Derrick Henry has been absolutely phenomenal. And then the next question that becomes that people want to know, has Derrick Henry slowed down? Is he the same player that he was? And despite the injuries and all that, Derrick Henry still put together a very impressive season last year in 2020 with over 1,500 yards, 13 touchdowns, 4.4 yards per carry. In 2020, that's when he had his career best season with over 2,000 yards and 17 touchdowns, 5.4 yards per carry. When I look at this situation with Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans, Henry's contract's coming up, and let's be real, they are not going to pay Derrick Henry. They're not going to give him a second contract. He is going to be gone. So in the Titans' case, they're off to a slow start this year. They're not so hot, and I don't think things are necessarily going to get better for the Tennessee Titans and for Derrick Henry. So what I would expect is that the Titans, when it comes to the trade deadline, are going to try to move Derrick Henry and get something out of him while they can. That way he doesn't walk next year for nothing. So here's what I project the trade to look like. Okay, we'll go to the destinations just a moment, but this is the cost of doing business for Derrick Henry. Team A, whatever it is, gets Derrick Henry and gets a sixth-round pick. Meanwhile, the Titans receive a second and a fifth-round pick. And teams that will be in consideration for Derrick Henry, before I go over my list, this is my outlook of sorts, the criteria for teams to make this list. They have to be a contender, and they have to be struggling in the run game, looking for other options of some sorts, looking for an immediate fix for this year's problems. If you want Derrick Henry now, you're not making this move about next year or the year after. You're making the move for the present. So with that said, let's go ahead and get to the top trade destinations for Derrick Henry. We begin with the Baltimore Ravens, which was the team that was probably on everyone's minds when we began this video, was Baltimore. Baltimore, I think, is a very good football team, and I think they're the favorites to walk away with that division in the AFC North. Lamar Jackson looks very good. His receivers are the best he's had in a long time, but that run game has a lot of issues. This team has already lost J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill. Those guys have already been banged up. They need all the help they can. And when you think about the Baltimore Ravens and the physical mentality of this organization, doesn't Derrick Henry feel like a Baltimore Raven? He does. You're already convincing yourself of it right now. This could be exactly what the Baltimore Ravens need. And I know John Harbaugh said, hey, we trust our running backs. We believe that we're going to be okay. Well, eventually, are you really going to have to rely on Melvin Gordon and Kenyon Drake? I don't think so. Got to be aggressive. If you're a serious football team to make a move, that could be the answer that this team is looking for. More teams to get to in a moment, but first, today's show is sponsored by Odds Are. Odds Are, one of our newest partners here at Chat Sports, and let's go ahead and make one thing clear. Odds Are is not a betting app, but it is an app that has AI technology which recommends the bets you should be making. Look, luck is not strategy. They don't take your bets, but they make you better at betting, okay? So here's what you do. Download OddsR, create an account, and what we're going to do is we're going to give you a 30-day free trial just for viewers of NFL Daily. And as I was looking across the board this upcoming week, there were a few notable games that caught my attention. You want to look for the green values on OddsR. That means a bet you should make. Red means stay away. Don't touch this game. Philadelphia and Washington, value on the Eagles to cover, also on the over to hit. Meanwhile, some of the other games across the board, Dallas and New England, value on the Cowboys to cover and for the under to hit in that game. And you can check on some of these other wagers and their recommendations and the games that they like and don't like over at oddsr.com/NFL Daily. Terms and conditions do apply. Oddsr.com/NFL Daily for your 30-day free trial now. All right. Now we will shift gears and go back to our list. The Buffalo Bills are the number 2 team on my top trade targets destinations list here for Derrick Henry. You look at this Buffalo Bills team, and as talented as they are, I think you look 1-53. The Bills have one of the best rosters from top to bottom. But one issue with said roster is the skill positions, the lack thereof beyond Stephon Diggs and company. Josh Allen doesn't have a whole lot of weapons. Okay, you got Dawson Knox there, but, it just doesn't feel right for what this Buffalo Bills team really has. They lack those skill makers. And when we look at the AFC, you think about Patrick Mahomes has Travis Kelce. The Bengals doing their thing with all those guys that Burrow got with Chase and company there. The Bills, you got a couple guys, but not like some of those other AFC teams. It's an arms race. This could help the Bills in the arms race there in the AFC. What's the team most likely to trade for Derrick Henry? I've got a few that come to mind. What about you, though? Weigh in the comments section. Tell me what you think that team is. Number 3 on my list is the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, Kansas City Chiefs, coming off that Super Bowl last year, I think they would be the first to tell you that they were not the most talented team in the NFL last season. They weren't. But they were the best coach team. They had the best player on the field. They came together. And one thing that you can see watching the Kansas City Chiefs so far this year is that they are lacking in their run game. Isaiah Pacheco, who I like a lot, Isaiah Pacheco was a key piece in their Super Bowl run last year. If we're going to be frank, the former 7th-round pick is not a starting caliber back in this league. He's a good back, but he cannot be your workhorse. He is a number 2 back. The Chiefs need to get Mahomes help right now. Not just at the running back position, but the wide receiver spot as well. You add in Derrick Henry, that totally changes your offense, gives you a running ability that you simply don't have right now, and he'd be the best running back in a long time this team has had. They haven't had an elite running back since probably Kareem Hunt early in his career, maybe even further back to Jamal Charles. And this team has a great track record of running backs. Priest Holmes, of course, was there. Add in Derrick Henry. He'll probably be in the Ring of Honor there at Arrowhead in no time, based on just what he would bring to the table there and that dynamic, and totally different from what they're used to in that offense. The Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, I got to tell you, are a fascinating football team. You look at this Dolphins organization, and what we have seen in this recent regime in Miami is that they are aggressive. They feel like the Walmart brand LA Rams from a couple years ago, where they just say F them picks with some of the trades that they have made, where they've given up picks and brought in star talent. Well, we know that they've been wanting a running back. They were talking to Dalvin Cook for a long time. They ultimately didn't do so. And then this rookie from Texas A&M, who everybody's trying to figure out how to pronounce his name, Devon Achane. Did I say that right? He looked really good last week. No question about it. He had a strong performance. That run game was fantastic for Miami. I would say the chances of this deal being done have decreased with the Dolphins' run game improving, but I still wouldn't rule it out because of how much they have flirted with looking at running back options around. So we'll see what the Dolphins do. But I would say if anyone's going to be aggressive, don't sleep on Miami. One more team to get to in a moment, but first, I want to make sure you subscribe to NFL Daily by Chat Sports as we're talking about the National Football League each and every day. Daily news and rumors, interactive live shows, mailbags, our whip around show on Sundays. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/chatsportstv for the latest happenings in the NFL. We got you covered here on the channel. Last on the list, you want to talk about being aggressive. The Philadelphia Eagles have been just that. Last year, they went all in with some of the moves that Howie Roseman made, and Howie Roseman's done a terrific job. Now, they've made some additions this year to their running back room, but they still don't have a great runner. Like Rashad Penny was a decent signing that they brought in from Seattle, and you look at DeAndre Swift there, and Boston Scott and some of these other guys there in Philadelphia. I mean, it's okay, but getting Derrick Henry, that would be a needle mover. And you look at a compliment of sorts to Jalen Hurts. Wouldn't Derrick Henry be just that? You want to talk about how Jalen, the way he rushes the football and runs this offense, Derrick Henry is his running mate. That feels like a match made in heaven. And you make Jalen Hurts' life a lot easier. He doesn't have to run nearly as much either. So, with that said, I want to ask you before we get out of here, Derrick Henry still the best running back in the NFL? I think there's a strong case to be made that he's still up there, that he hasn't slowed down yet. What do you guys think? Y for yes, N for no. Chime in the comment section to let me know. Subscribe now to Chat Sports for more NFL coverage each and every day, and we'll see you next time right here on the channel.